Hi. In view of the fact that we are now engaged in a fundraising effort, I thought I would talk about that a little bit and why it might become necessary. One of the things that has intrigued me about the Occupy movement is the juxtaposition of the 99%, which is relatively financially weak, and 1%, which is relatively financially strong. This is a situation that anyone who has litigated against a much more powerful litigant, such as the government or a bank or an insurance company, can certainly relate to. And it's kind of a constant risk of litigating for the underdog, which is essentially that you're often in danger of going broke doing it. This is a situation that the 1%, for lack of a better way of describing them, the 1% can use very much to their advantage in court battles. And as that, what would you call it, as that phenomenon gets more and more out of control, and you see more and more of a mismatch and imbalance between those that are well-heeled, the 1%, and the 99% who are usually criminal defendants, are drawn from the 99%. You can get atrocious outcomes simply because of the disparity of resources involved. I have blogged here on the blog from time to time about Conrad Black. Conrad Black is a British lord and a very wealthy individual, and wound up going to federal prison. Even his fortune was not sufficient to effectively do battle, at least from his own standpoint, effectively do battle with the government of the United States. How much more would this disparity matter in a case like the one I've been describing to you since last August? And it has reached a critical point, which is why I am engaged in this effort. The critical point is that unless I can file a petition down in Rochester next week in the nature of habeas, federal court in the nature of habeas corpus, that will be really the last opportunity to get a federal court to hear the very important issue involved. Now, earlier today, I put up a post that included a petition for rehearing that I filed in the United States Supreme Court in 2010. I would encourage you, if you have any questions about the legalities involved, to read that. But that is the issue that describes, I think, pretty well the issue that needs to be addressed by a federal court somewhere. And the only way this case is going to wind up presenting that issue to a federal court is if I can go down and file it. And the only way I'm going to go down and file it is if I can raise sufficient funds within the next few days or a week at most. So that's why this is being done. It's being done because it's urgent, and it's being done because it's important. And it's a bit unusual. I don't know if this is going to work here. Even if it does work here, this is one remedy for one case. Whether it has any applicability beyond that to anyone else or any other case, I can't say. But I can say that it's somewhat in keeping with the conflict that seems to be taking place more generally within our society, where you have a very high concentration of wealth and power in a very small number of people, and you have a much larger group of people who've been largely dispossessed of wealth and who are increasingly victimized by those that have it. It's not really a class warfare pitch. I don't believe that's the basis of the Occupy movement either. I think essentially what we're trying to do is address a more or less glaring problem that has had atrocious effects in this or that given case. If it can't be corrected here, it's very difficult for me to see how it could ever be corrected. So the real issue here is, can we collectively, can we band together collectively to attack at a vulnerable point where one of the most egregious abuses of the 1% against the 9%, if you want to put it that way, is taking place. I think in many ways, if you wanted to describe this situation in non-legal terms, that's what it really boils down to. This is a flashpoint, a point at which even by the criteria that the 1% themselves apply to everyone else, that they would need to yield on this. The powers that be, which are the prosecutors and the courts, need to yield on this. There needs to be a precedent, there needs to be a law, or a case law at least, explaining to them that something like this should never happen again. And that's what really this is about, I'd say. But if anyone has any questions about it, I'm sure I could answer in great detail, but as you might have gleaned from seeing these videos put together, it's a little bit difficult to keep talking without some input coming back. I haven't received too much in the way of questions, but you can send questions to strikelawyer@gmail.com. You can also comment on the blog, and I will do my best to address any comments that seem to require a response in a further video presentation. And you can also forward a question to me on Twitter. That would be @strikelawyer. I do check that pretty regularly, and I do intend to continue updating regularly, if not daily, with a video installment on the blog. I appreciate the attention. Again, you've got Facebook button, Twitter button, and you've also got a donate button on the upper left-hand corner, so that you can spread the word around. If you can afford a donation yourself, I would be grateful. So would my client. So would, I believe, properly speaking, the United States of America. Again, I look forward to hearing from some of you, or as many of you as possible, in whatever way you can express an interest or concern about this matter. Thank you very much.